guys, it's KH Gamer, and this is just a welcome back to my channel, and for those of you who are new, welcome as well, so yeah.
Oh, sorry. I was just taking a look back at my past. You know, it makes me wonder, what if your past self and your current self had to team up in order to save you and all of your friends? Well, that's exactly what Sega was thinking when they made this game. Now, I've slept on this game a lot, but I've been told by a lot of people that it's a very good game, and with how well Sonic Frontiers has been received, I think it's finally time for me to take a look back at Sonic Generations. Sonic Generations was released in 2011 for the PS3, Xbox 360, and PC, later having a port to the Nintendo 3DS. It was the fourth game in what fans dubbed the Boost series, and was the last game we had before everything went to shit. The game aimed to bridge the gap between the classic Genesis games like Sonic 1, 2, and 3, and the modern games like Colors and Unleashed, and I believe it put Sega on the road to redemption after the train wreck that was 06. Despite that, this game was very well received by fans, selling 1.84 million copies and even making it into the PS3's Greatest Hits library and the Xbox 360's Platinum Hits library. Then again, Finding Nemo on the PS2 made it on there, so it can't be that hard. Now, for my history with the Sonic series. It feels like it's always been a part of my life. But now thinking about it, my first interaction that I can remember was watching Sonic Underground when I was 8 years old.
Sonic Underground! Sonic Underground! The fate of all that never will be found!
The first actual Sonic game I remember playing was Sonic Rush Adventure on the DS, which I remember getting out of one of those multicolored DS kits that would come with a thing that would hold your games and styluses, along with 2 new games. Mine obviously came with Sonic Rush Adventure and City Beats. Yeah, that was a flat-out bootleg of Rhythm Heaven, but I only got it because of Sonic. I remember quite enjoying this game, but I don't know what happened to it. It's probably rotting away at a playground or something. Later, when I was 10, I was at my grandma's neighbor's, and they gave me Sonic Mega Collection, which was my first experience with the classic Sonic games for Genesis and retro games in general. After that, I had a few other Sonic games like Sonic Heroes, Sonic Sega All-Stars Racing, Sonic Riders, and Sonic Forces. My experiences with those games were very brief, but I do have nostalgia for things like the Sonic Heroes theme when I hear it. I kinda fell off of Sonic as I got older, and even had some resentment towards the franchise at one point. And I mean, can you blame me? But then, Sonic Frontiers was announced, and I saw gameplay of it, and for once, I felt hopeful about Sonic. I ended up picking up the game, and from the little bit that I've played, it made me want to go out and explore what else the franchise had to offer. That's when I ended up going to a local video game store with one of my friends from college, and there I saw Sonic Generations for the 360 for a really good price, so I decided to get it. Now, onto the actual game itself. Right off the bat, the game puts you into Green Hill Zone. I think it does a really good job portraying the idea of taking what we're already used to from the classic 2D Sonic games from the Genesis and modernizing it kind of similar to how New Super Mario Bros. Did with comparing it to the original Super Mario Bros. And Super Mario World, making it fit the current day and age. The spin dashing feels great, and just running in general feels so fluid. The environment itself looks so vibrant, and they did a really good job taking the classic Green Hill Zone we all know and love and converting it to this new style without losing the nostalgia factor. Difficulty wise, I'm not too experienced with Sonic games, so there was a few times I did run into things and was not quick enough with my reactions due to me not being used to the speed, unlike the red Italian bastard who relies on dinosaurs and steroids. The Green Hill Zone theme was recreated very faithfully and sounds fitting to this level. It just makes you want to go fast and never stop, kind of like me when I drink a Monster. It tastes like a Duracell! After we're done with that, we get our starting cutscene that explains what's going on. It's Sonic's birthday and all of Sonic's friends are preparing a surprise party for him. Tails brings Sonic in, and he's very appreciative, and for some reason has his hand on Amy's face. Yeah, I'm not sure what they were trying to do here, it just looks awkward. Tails gives Sonic a chili dog, and... Damn, hate it when that happens. Sonic then wakes up in a white void, which reminds me of the end of the tutorial for Kingdom Hearts 2 when you're in the pod room. He then sees Green Hill Zone and runs over to it. That's where we start our first boost level. Right off the bat, ooh, this is so good. I'm such a sucker for a good video game soundtrack, and this instrumental version of Green Hill Zone, ooh, it's so good. I also really like how with the music throughout the entire game, with classic Sonic, they just kind of recreated the music off the Genesis to fit with this time, but with modern Sonic, they used more of a rock and instrumental versions of the songs to establish how much Sonic has grown and changed as a franchise. It's a nice touch. Maybe it would have been fine without it, but I'm glad they went the extra mile. We also get to boost. That's right, if you didn't think Sonic was fast enough before, well now he can go even faster. Usually a video game with this type of mechanic would feel very broken, but Sonic, it just feels so good. They even added a little touch with the music becoming distorted, almost like you're driving fast on the highway with the radio playing in the car. Was I any better at this game as modern Sonic? No, but I was still having a blast, even though I was missing all of the collectibles and injuring Sonic quite a few times. Once we are done with that, this world gets fully restored and we save Tails. Tails isn't exactly sure of what's going on, but encourages Sonic to keep doing what he's doing because it seems to be working. Sonic then runs off from Tails and classic Sonic appears, which I guess Tails can't tell the difference. This is where I'd like to point out a nice little aspect of the game. You're now able to switch between classic and modern Sonic, so when you do, Tails also changes. I really appreciate when games pay attention to the continuity with things like that. We now move on to the chemical plant, and it's an interesting level to say the least. It has you doing some tedious platforming, which in a Sonic game can definitely give you some trouble. You can probably tell by this point my skills with Sonic when it comes to collecting things aren't the best, but I felt it a lot when I was playing this level, and I was trying to go back and forth to collect the rings, but I think that's more of a me problem. Oh yeah, water comes into the mix now. And Omochow tells us,
"You'll drown if you stay underwater for too long."
Oh fuck.
Again, I don't know if this is just my two brain cells struggling to understand how this game works, but I was struggling with the damn water.
I gotta get out of here. Time's going faster. Time is ticking. I don't know what to do. The water's everywhere. Sonic's gonna drown. Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. Thank God I'm done with that.
Now, as classic Sonic, I don't really know what to say here. It has the same graphical improvements as Green Hill Zone did compared to its Genesis counterpart, but like, it's Chemical Plant from Sonic 2, but in Sonic Generations. It's not bad, but it's just the same thing.
That's like asking me what the difference is between this box of Cinnamon Toast Crunch that I bought the other day and this one that's 2 months past its expiry date.
Once done with Chemical Plant, we get Amy back. She then comments on how Sonic looks a lot younger. I wonder why. Now on to Sky Sanctuary. I'm getting a lot of Twilight Princess Temple of Time vibes off this. But with this, it's more like the ending of Ocarina of Time where you're running out of the castle because everything is falling apart. But despite the ground literally crumbling beneath me, I had a fun time doing the tricks. Again, like with everything else in this game, I suck at it, but I could definitely see why somebody might want to go back and try to see how many tricks they could pull off midair. I didn't really play Sonic and Knuckles, so this was pretty much an entirely new stage for me. I will say, I didn't go into this game expecting for something to give me Zelda vibes, so it was a pleasant surprise. I really enjoyed this more almost realistic look we got outside for once. It really helps to stick out from the other stages that were brightly covered or shoving you into a city type area that we're more used to when it comes to Sonic. Now for the 2D section. It was fine for a while when... Yeah, let this be a lesson to anyone watching. If you buy a game, make sure it works properly. Because what happened here was I bought the game, didn't touch it for a while, and then it had some crashing from the scratches that I did not notice on it, and it was way too late for me to exchange it. Luckily, my friend Radhead came in clutch, and we did the whole Steam family sharing thing, so I was able to just swap over to PC. Besides dying multiple times and having to get used to playing the PC version because it's overall faster, everything was fine. It was just fine, I promise. Again, with this level, it's just the same thing from what I've seen from Sonic and Knuckles, and unfortunately I do not have any more cereal for another analogy. This is editing Ventus here, and it seems that I skipped over the entire boost level of Sky Sanctuary, so yeah, we're just gonna skip past that. Once done with that, Knuckles is saved. When he sees Classic Sonic, he says,
"Thanks, Sonic. You did a good job back there. Hey, did you gain weight?"
I'm not fat. I'm big boned.
Once we're done with that, we get to go play pinball. Honestly, I really enjoyed it because it's pinball. You can't go wrong with it. Then there's the challenge stages, and oh boy, Knuckles and Amy are incompetent. Knuckles, you had to point to the fucking ground and be perfect with it because this level has him acting like a fucking Puffle from Club Penguin and digging into the damn ground to grab stuff. Then there's Amy with her hammer, which I kept forgetting that she was almost there and almost died several times because of it. And don't even get me started on this stupid ass ghost race I did. And it wasn't till after my friend told me I only had to do one challenge level per zone in order to get the keys. Finally, once we were done with that, we move on to our first boss. Dr. Eggman and his huge ass ball robot looking thing. First we have to dodge him when he punches the ground, and then run underneath him and hit him in the back. Simple enough, not too hard. But then bro decides to build a whole bunch of platforms. So now we have to blow up his arms and run up them in order to get to his head to jump on it. I had some trouble with this boss, mostly because I sucked at timing when you have to jump out of the way of his arms, but I did get it eventually. Once done with this boss, we get this Miitopia Street Pass looking monster thing coming at us, and you just kind of hear Eggman screaming for help in the background.
Sonic, save me!
Now that we're done with that, that's when the game decides to let Classic Sonic and Modern Sonic finally acknowledge each other.
So, are we still into Kingdom Hearts?
No. I gave up on that shit years ago.
Well then. What the hell am I supposed to do with all of these?
Now on to Speed Highway. It has you in a city at night, outrunning the damn police. Yeah, that's right, Sonic the Hedgehog is outrunning the police. This level has you utilizing the boost mechanic to run through an entire building and break several windows. You know, everyone's favorite thing in a video game. Property damage. At this point, I feel like I was starting to get a hang of how Sonic works. I think. I was having a bit of a tough time with the part where it puts you on the road and has Sonic spinballing and you control him almost like he's a car. There's also a helicopter, so you know, you can't really complain. It's pretty cool. Then there's Classic Sonic, which is more of the same thing, but you know, 2D. Once we're done with that, we save Cream the Rabbit and her chow. Now on to my favorite level, City Escape. Was I hyped for this one just because of the song? Yes. Did I enjoy this level for the most part? Also yes. We start off with a skateboard that I don't know how to control. Guess I was wrong when I said I was getting better at this game. Then there's some precise platforming, which you know Sonic games aren't exactly known for being the best with, as I stated earlier. But we got escape from the city, let's go!
Rolling around at the speed of sound. Got places to go, gotta follow my rainbow.
Oh my god, what the fuck? Yeah, there's a damn truck trying to run us over, which because of my dumbass forgetting that boosts exist, I legit watched Sonic get sawed in half multiple times, and I'm questioning how this man is even still alive. Now for the Classic Sonic section. First of all, this version of Escape from the City is actually really good. They managed to kind of mix it with the older style of Sonic music without sacrificing the vocals, and it works really well with the level.
Rolling around at the speed of sound. Got places to go, gotta follow my rainbow.
It's mostly the same tropes, except instead of a snowboarding section on the road, we have a skateboard section, which I thought was pretty cool and honestly shows the inspiration that they took from Bart Simpson when originally designing Sonic as a character. This truck made a comeback, but I managed to get much further than it, until later when the truck decided to catch up to me and started doing this. Yeah, this truck wasn't letting me off easy. This stupid ass truck keeps destroying the platforms, and I'm just over here trying to get to where I need to go without making it look like an anime girl trying to cross the street. Once we're done with that, I was just booking my ass out of there. Legit, this truck was inches away from getting my ass. Finishing that, we saved the Rouge. Time to go on to Seaside Hill, and my god, I hate this level. I'm sorry to anyone who loves this level, but I completely hate it. Visually, it's pretty good looking and I can't complain, and it has good music. I mean, I feel like it relies a bit too much on the fact that there's water, but whatever. So firstly, let's go over classic Sonic. If there's anything that doesn't go with Sonic, it's water. Now, as I've stated several times, Sonic is not the best when it comes to precise platforming, but up to this point, I did not let it hinder my experience. But here, it just makes it a living hell. Sonic can jump super high, which you think would help making it easier going back up for air. But no, if anything, it just sends you enough into the air that you can't see where you're gonna land most of the time. Now, let's take a look at modern Sonic.
Hello sir, we kind of messed up the physics on another game with the Blue Hedgehog after the one we released in 2006.
Jimmy, I'm firing you now.
Okay, well, shit, okay, this is bad. Guess I'm gonna have to sell my entire iPhone collection so I don't have the IRS barging down my door again.
Yeah, if you didn't think things get any worse, they did. I was just trying to go fast, but 95% of the time, I ended up flying to only God knows where, because around this area, all there is water. Because God forgive if Sonic were to ever try to swim. And then they also pulled some bullshit where they put a spike panel on the ceiling right next to where a wall jump pad was. And I was also constantly running out of boost because the game wasn't giving me that many opportunities in this level to recharge it as it did with other levels. So when I actually needed to use it, I was barely able to even do that. Right before I was about to finish the level, the game had to mess with me one final time, with adding this little sliver of platform for me to run across. Even when I was dead facing straight to go across this little sliver of platform, this game was like, no. Again, if you like this level, cool. But for me, it just made me want to bash my head off my desk. Now, time to do a few challenge levels, which consist of cream throwing rings and Rouge seducing the robots. Okay, let's forget about this. Now we're on to our second boss, Perfect Chaos. This boss was actually really cool. I really like the Dark City. It almost reminds me of Shibuya or San Francisco in Kingdom Hearts 3. It has you running through a dark city that is under attack and the roads are falling apart from Perfect Chaos. It almost has this post-apocalyptic feel. The boss itself wasn't really difficult, but it definitely did feel satisfying to destroy. Now on to Crisis City, aka a city that is literally on fire and falling apart. Basically your average day in Ohio. I mean, the idea for the level isn't really creative because we just kind of had the same sort of feel with Perfect Chaos. So I think having two levels back to back with the same sort of theme, just one having fire everywhere, just doesn't really bring anything new to the table for me. When it comes to design, you have to platform across multiple parts of the road and avoid the constant fire, spikes, and oh my god, My experience with this zone as a whole made me want to just say fuck you to 2011 Sega. Seriously, the amount of misjumps in both the classic and modern acts of the level, I did not enjoy at all. It makes sense that the most frustrating level is from Sonic 06. I'd constantly misjump, fall into the abyss, fall into lava, or get shot by these things that look like you took the Chocobo from Final Fantasy and the Phoenix from Harry Potter and just combined them together.
You're a wizard, Harry. Now go get me that damned 4th Chaos Emerald.
After I was done with my run through Ohio, I don't think I've ever been more glad to be done with a level in a video game before. Now for Rooftop Run. It isn't bad by any means, but it suffers one of the same problems I had with Crisis City. We kind of already have the same theme it goes for with the level City Escape. Obviously it's got a different layout and different music, but it doesn't really have its own vibe going in my opinion. It's just another big city, and I wish they took some other types of levels that, you know, weren't a big city, because by this point it was just heavily overdone. I will say, this one reminds me of Delfino Square from Mario Kart. The music is also really good, it really gets you pumped. Now when I played through the level itself, it was pretty smooth on both classic and modern. Although on modern, my main enemy was those damned balloons. I'd bounce off of them, but it was a dice roll whether or not I'd gain enough momentum to get up to the spot I needed to go, and it cost me my death quite a few times. Other than that, the level itself is fine. It's just the fact that it blends in so much with other parts of the game. Now for Planet Wisp. For once, we have some original theming. You start off with this grassy area that looks so vibrant. Then we get into this construction site area, which is a nice change of pace and adds some variety to the level. Too bad that's all it had going for it. Yeah, so first off, this level went on way too long compared to the other levels for both the classic and modern Sonic. In both levels, there were also missiles coming at me from every which way, and that makes it even worse when you can't even see the missiles sticking out from the wall, which cost me quite a few lives. With both Sonic levels, they have these Wisp power-ups with different abilities. You have to use them to go throughout the level. Modern Sonic has you using the rocket, which you use to break through things and stop this fucking wall from crushing you.
Oh shit. Oh fuck. Oh shit. Oh fuck. Oh no! No! No!
Yeah, that happened a lot. It just got really annoying because they placed the wisps in a way where you have to platform and boost from the right side in order to get back up to where you actually need to use the wisp. But if you get stuck on the left side, then you have to use your wisp in order to get back up there. And keep in mind, you have to make sure the wall isn't crushing you during all this. It's just so annoying. Like, why couldn't we get maybe a thing where you could hold multiple wisps if you're going to design it like that? It just makes no sense, and it's very infuriating when I constantly have to go back and forth and make sure this wall doesn't come for me, my wife, and my firstborn child. Once I was finally done with that, it was smooth sailing, and I finished off the level. Now for Classic Sonic's Wisp. It only gets worse from here. With Classic Sonic's Wisp, it turns you into this spiky ball, which, side note, reminds me of these things from Monsters University. At first, I thought it was rather interesting with its ability to let you climb walls. It was a pretty neat and smart idea, considering as Classic Sonic you can't really wall jump, so traversing up walls was a lot easier, which I will give it that one. But then, this game throws a puzzle in your face, where you have to jump on these gears and move them around while you have a limited amount of time. Now, you can spin dash in order to make the process a little faster, but there's an issue with that. You can barely tell which way you're facing, and if you're facing the opposite way than what the gear can move, you get bounced up in the air, and if you're extremely unlucky like me, you'll fall all the way down to the ground. With the gears themselves, I had this issue where I kept thinking I could jump on half of these gears when I couldn't, and I would fall. But then again, that might just be because of my own stupidity. Also, with the whole missile issue I mentioned earlier, it only gets worse from here. When you have the Wisp power up and a missile hits you, even at 0 rings, you can't die. Which, you know, sounds really good, and it is. Except when you're rolling onto a missile and your power up runs out. That'd be like if my Xbox would explode if I watched Tommy Wiseau's The Room too many times in a row on it.
Ah, what a great film. Let's watch it again.
And then we do a couple of mission levels, which aren't too bad except for frickin' Mr. Barry B. Benson looking ass over here. Okay, maybe that was too mean. In all seriousness, Charmy's ability is low-key just kind of broken, and I abused it throughout his entire mission level for Planet Wisp. The only actual problem I had was the amount of times I was at the end of the level and died because of one of those spinning spike stick things, which pisses me off so much because it's right at the end of the level when you can see it in the distance. Now is Egg Dragoon, which makes me enraged. This boss was pulling so much shit left and right, like bro didn't even give me a chance to breathe. This boss could be considered what I guess you could call an endless run type of level. It fires beams, water waves, and ice projectiles. Now each of these alone isn't too bad, but when you're trying to get closer to the boss while trying to avoid him, it becomes a pain in the ass. I swear, I try to boost to get closer to the boss, but that just makes it harder for me to keep track of Sonic, which ends up in me getting hit and losing rings, which ends up fucking me over later on with the skydiving section. I also don't get why I have an additional finishing blow outside of the skydiving section in order to defeat this boss. I feel like it would have just made more sense that the final blow would be in the skydiving section. In order to continue on in the game, I had to go back and collect the other 3 Chaos Emeralds I was missing. First is the rival fight with Shadow. Now it starts off with a pretty cool cutscene, so I was pretty hyped. Now we're running. Omochow says get the orb to stop Shadow, so I thought, simple enough. Boy was I wrong, because you actually have to chase down Shadow once you have the power up. First, you have to launch meteors to slow him down, which wasn't that complicated, but now you have to line yourself up with Shadow using Quick Step and then just watch it go. It didn't go that simple. See, I thought I was supposed to dash at Shadow because I saw the target, so I kept trying to jump and dash at him, and I spent at least a good half an hour doing so. At one point, Shadow just kind of decided to clock out. I thought maybe I passed him or something, but even when I went back, I could hear his voice lines, but he was nowhere to be found. During this whole ordeal, I was just kind of thinking, Shadow,
Are you guys in there?
once I did figure it out, it was smooth sailing from there. Then we got Metal Sonic and Silver. I don't really have a lot to say here because they are both brain dead easy. I will say it was a nice change of pace because I wasn't having a stroke with these two. Now for the final boss. Eggman is now connected with his past self, Dr. Robotnik. They got this huge ass robot contraption going on. Both Sonics get knocked down pretty hard, but then everyone and their mothers from throughout the game show up to cheer on both Sonics. The Chaos Emeralds appear and both classic and modern Sonic become Special Sonic. This part of the game is visually really cool. It reminds you a lot of the dive missions from Kingdom Hearts Dream Drop Distance, with how you fight the boss and you get to control and switch between both versions of Sonic in the same level. Difficulty-wise, I believe this was way too easy. I know I complained about having issues with several other parts of the game making me want to tear my hair out, but this boss is a final boss, so yeah, I was expecting something a little bit more difficult. In the end, everyone is sent back home. Classic Sonic and Tails part ways and go back to Green Hill Zone. As for Eggman and Robotnik, they get stuck in the void.
Overall, this game definitely did have its times where it made me want to bash my head open with the nearest blunt object, but I'd be lying if I said I didn't enjoy this game. You know, I really found myself getting lost in the soundtrack and the variety of levels it did have. I can definitely see why it's some fans' favorites. Now, how do I get Jim Carrey to cause the same issues in the real world so that way I can interact with my past self? Hello?
Hey guys, it's KH Gamer.
How the hell